Visit the 3 words that we were introduced to yesterday, and those words are right here: rove, inadequate, and adequate. So let's take a look at the first example. Would you say that you roved if you took the same route to school every day? Why or why not? Remember that rove means to wander or to roam. So I would say that I do or do not rove because. If you have someone next to you, you can turn and talk or think to yourself. Right, in this example, I don't know that it's necessarily an example of roving. If you're taking the same route, then you're pretty much like a direct path to and from school. And if you were roving or going to rove, then you might be taking different paths and try to wander and find your way to school that way. Let's take a look at another example using adequate or inadequate. If you had 6 quarters and wanted to buy a bottle of juice that cost $1, would the amount of money you had be adequate or inadequate, and why? You can use this sentence frame to complete your thought. Right, if I had 6 quarters and wanted to buy a bottle of juice that cost $1, the amount of money would be adequate because 4 quarters are equal to $1, so if I had 6, I have $1.50. I have enough money to buy that juice. Let's look at this example. Seamus wants to rove, so he gets a map and plans exactly where he will go. Does the word rove make sense in this scenario? Why do you think that? If you have someone next to you, you can turn and talk. That's right. In this example, rove does not necessarily make sense because if you are getting a map and planning exactly where you want to go, then you're not wandering. You're not roaming, so you're not roving. Let's look at this example. Carrie is planning a day at the beach. She packs towels, an adequate supply of sunscreen, a book, and a bottle of water. Does the word adequate make sense in this example? If you have someone next to you, you can turn and talk or think to yourself. If you said that the word adequate does make sense in this scenario, then you are correct. In this example, we can see that she is trying to pack just enough sunscreen for her trip or an adequate supply. Let's take a look at the last example. Jack is fuming. I paid Larry's landscaping service money to rake my lawn, but there are leaves everywhere. The job they did is adequate. Does the word adequate make sense in this example, and why do you think that? If you have someone next to you, you can turn and talk or think to yourself. Well, if we know that adequate means good enough or enough, then in this example, adequate's not really going to make sense because they really didn't do a good enough job. I think the correct word that we need to use here is inadequate. The job they did is inadequate, meaning there's leaves everywhere. They did not do a good job. They did not do enough. That wraps up day 2. We'll see you back tomorrow for day 3.